This is my video for the Rio Black Rifle match held July 3rd, 2021. On this stage, the shooter has to engage 2 targets from the first position, 3 from the second position, 3 from the third position, then 2 again from the fourth position. I get into reverse kneeling and stabilize before sending any shots. On this standing position, I load my weight into the prop and pull the rifle into the corner. From the next position, I'm going to push the rifle into the corner. Whenever you can, working off props like this, push your rifle or pull it into the corner as needed to get the most stability possible. Back to reverse kneeling here. Note my elbow goes in front of my kneecap. You don't want bone on bone for support. I'm first in stealth on this stage, giving me 100 match points. On this stage, there are 3 targets at about 340 yards and 2 targets at about 400 yards. From the first position, the shooter has to shoot all 3 at 340. From the center position, they shoot all 5. And from the final position, they shoot the 2 at 400. The stage is made more difficult by the fact you're shooting off of tires that bounce and move around with each shot fired. Note I'm using my bipod and I'm pulling the rifle down into the tires to minimize movement. You can see here I have my legs just behind the forward lip of the tire, pushing into it, providing the most stability possible. And now on to the final 2 targets at 400, and I go 1 for 1 on those. I'm first in stealth on this stage, giving me 100 match points. On this stage, you're supposed to engage the hanging steel targets first from the box, standing, then the paper on the way to the spool, and only the final 2 targets out at distance from the spool. But I didn't pay close attention when reading the stage description. Engaging these targets offhand is really about getting the right rhythm of pulling the trigger as your dot crosses onto the target. If you miss, like I did here, it's real easy to get out of rhythm and take several shots to recover and get back to it. Now here's where I screw up. I re-engage the hanging targets from this position because we often have to do that on this stage at Rio Black Rifle, but it's not necessary. Fortunately, it doesn't cost me much time. I'm 4th in stealth on this stage with 82.67% of the winner's score. From outside the helicopter, there are 2 arrays of 3 paper targets that must be engaged. Inside the helicopter, there is 1 close array of 3 targets and 1 farther array of 3 targets. Black equals hard cover. Since I have to slow down to aim anyway, I just go for single headshots on these. Any hit above the neckline neutralizes the target. Here I engage the first 3 steel targets at about 50 yards. The angle of presentation here is actually beneficial to be left-handed. I'm able to get low and lay across the seat and support with my left elbow off that, with my right hand supporting the rifle in the window. As usual, shooting from the helicopter prop, each subsequent target becomes a bit more difficult from the bounce. I'm 5th stealth on this stage with 78.01% of the winner's score. The shooter begins this stage engaging the distance steel from the first position, then engage the paper targets on the way to the stairs. At the top of the stairs, the shooter will re-engage the steel targets. It may seem counterintuitive to shoot the furthest targets first, but as a left-handed shooter, I prefer to engage targets left to right. It is a more natural arc of movement for transitioning target to target with the rifle. I flip the magnifier out of the way as I leave this position. There are only 5 targets here. I'm going to end up re-engaging one of them because I wasn't sure. It's definitely worth it, though, if you're not sure if you've engaged a target when it's a plus 15-second penalty for not shooting at it at all. I reload on the way up the stairs to make sure I don't run dry, engaging the last 6 targets. I am running my bipod a couple clicks higher than I normally would because I am shooting at a much more extreme upward angle at those first two targets. It's easier to deal with the bipod being too high on the other targets where I don't need it to be than trying to get supported properly by getting low enough when engaging a target at an upward angle. I'm third stealth on this stage with 81.45% of the winner's score. In the end, I'm first out of 19 in stealth division with 442.1277 points out of 500 possible. Overall, I'm second out of 69 shooters with 95.66% of the winner's score. Interestingly, I have the lowest total time overall, but with a match points scoring format, each stage is weighted equally. So even if you have the lowest total time, it is possible to place lower in the overall results based on how you performed on each individual stage. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.